Your Town Matters is funded by the Government of Canada through the Local Journalism Initiative and supported by Cactus Media, Canada's independent community television association.
I'm Vicki Hogarth, and welcome to Your Town Matters. I'm joined today by the Mayor of Eastern Charlotte for a fall check-in, John Craig. Thanks so much for being here today, John.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
And thank you for always making time to come in for check-ins every season. I'd love to start off by talking about something that came up in the October council meeting, and it was just about learning more about childcare initiatives in the Eastern Charlotte community. Can you speak a little bit about that? I know it's still a work in progress.
It is a work in progress, and I don't want to say too much to derail or anything or to put expectations out there, but our council is committed to helping and having good childcare in Eastern Charlotte. So they are actually working on a plan right now as we speak to try to make sure that happens. And I can't really get into details because it's kind of some moving parts right at the moment, and but I do know that this council is committed to making sure that does happen.
Okay, well, I'll look forward to following that in the council meetings ahead.
For sure.
One thing that was also brought up during the council meeting is the first bylaw that's been put in place for Eastern Charlotte, dangerous and unsightly premises. Now, I know there were about 15 properties in the area that were in question. Can you tell me a little bit about, first of all, how this bylaw works now that's in effect for all of Eastern Charlotte?
Right. Well, we have a dangerous and unsightly bylaw in place, number one. We have a bylaw enforcement officer in place. We contract this out to the Service Commission, and the Service Commission has Vern Faulkner hired to be that person. So Vern is the bylaw enforcement officer for that bylaw, and as to which cases he's working on, I'm not privy to that. No councillor is privy to what files he's working on. That's private between the person he's dealing with and the bylaw enforcement officer. If according to the bylaw, if it comes down to the point where the person is not complying with the Vern or the bylaw enforcement officer, then it comes to council at the very end, the last step, and then we declare it as unsightly, and then we go in and clean it up, and then we give the bill to that property owner. That's basically how it works. So at this moment, I do know that he's, as he reported, there's about 15 files open, and he's working on them. As long as people are working with him, there should be no issues, no problems, and he will work with people and give them a timeline, and as long as the person is moving towards the final step, there's no problems. But I do know that I believe there may be one or two coming before council within the next week or two. But it's a good bylaw to have in place. St. George and Blacks Harbor always had it. Basically, it's mostly on the outside areas where things have deteriorated or things that haven't been kept in check over the years because there's been no enforcement. So now that we're all one entity now, Eastern Charlotte, that bylaw is in place for everybody. Everybody follows the same rules. So, and it's in everybody's best interest, because if you have a property next door to you that says a junkyard, cars and washing machines, it keeps your property depreciated in value. So and also the groundwater and that sort of thing too. You don't know what's getting into your system as well too. So it's a good safety. It's a safety thing for all people of Eastern Charlotte. So Vern's doing a good job.
It's a really interesting bylaw process to follow, because for a lot of us who are still learning about how council and things like that work, we're watching it in amalgamation become the first bylaw for Eastern Charlotte. And in that process, you learn a lot about how municipal politics work. Can you explain a little bit about how it worked initially under amalgamation, and why each bylaw basically has to be rewritten for all of Eastern Charlotte.
See, we're a little different. See, since we're on now, I'm in St. Andrews today. St. Andrews is a little different. They're basically they didn't take it a big area like we did, but they have to do the same thing we do. They took them Bayside and Shamrock. So any bylaws that are in place now, save for the town of St. Andrews, that doesn't those areas don't have to comply with it until you make a bylaw. Now, same with us. Our areas are much bigger. We got right up to Dignaguash Lake, to Pokalogan, down to Back Bay, Latete, Second Falls. I'm gonna miss an area. I'm gonna get a call. but it's such a huge area geography-wise.
Bonnie River.
Exactly. Bonnie River, Second Falls. Once the bylaws are in place, so St. George and Black Cyber always had them. Now you got to merge and put one bylaw for the whole area, so that everybody follows the same rules. So until we do this, all the rules in the past stay in place. So Black Cyber and St. George, all your rules that you had before,
Pre-existing bylaws still
exactly
in place.
And same as the outside areas. The outside areas, there's nothing in place until we make these bylaws. So, and once we make these bylaws and pass it, and then everybody has to go along with the same rules. And we're only picking and choosing the ones that people really want. And Dangerous and Unsightly was one that people really wanted, and because of the problems in the outside areas that have been left for too long.
And this is another interesting thing that I would love for you to explain. Prior to amalgamation, they were still subject to dangerous and unsightly bylaws outside of Black Cyber and St. George, but it was enforced differently and also more costly ultimately to Eastern Charlotte.
Exactly.
To stay that way.
We had to pay a bill every year to the Province of New Brunswick for them to enforce dangerous and unsightly. They would have to do it. They didn't do it. So basically, it was pretty clear that it hasn't been enforced for many years. And now that we have a person in place, that person will be taken care of. So.
I know Eastern Charlotte, from the municipalities I cover, you were the first to put dangerous and unsightly premises as a bylaw in progress, and I think St. Stephen's, St. Andrews have followed suit and made that their first as well. I'd love to know, because you're dealing with such a massive geographical area, what are the bylaws that are next on slate to get through council?
We're just doing a few at a time, because it takes time to go through this, and you have to remember, when you do bylaws too, you have to go out to the public and get their input as well too. So we're doing one or two at a time. For example, coming up this next month, there's actually 3 bylaws that we're working on right now. One is for the Eastern Charlotte Fire and Rescue, the bylaw for the fire department. There's also a bylaw for them being paid, and that's a separate bylaw. And then there's another bylaw for the all-terrain vehicles using the street of St. George. So the street, so we have to have public meetings on each one of those. So we're taking our time on these and making sure we do due diligence, making sure that people have the opportunity to speak on each of these bylaws. You just don't want to ram things through, and we may have missed something too as these bylaws are done up. We think we have everything, but maybe we missed something, or maybe there's something's worded wrong. So it gives it an opportunity for the public to have an input into it as well too. We want, and the reason we do 1 or 2 readings at the first is to get this bylaw out to the public. And I try to explain that to council, and said we're not rushing this along. All we're doing is, when you do that first reading, it gets it out to the public. Then you set a public date, a time, so that people can come and comment on that and give us their opinion. So we want to make sure that people always have a say in what we do.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about the bylaw with regards to the fire departments, because that's obviously another challenge you have, being the mayor of such a large, one of the biggest amalgamated areas in the province. And the one, honestly, it's the most fascinating to watch unfold, because it's the most intricate and complex to bring those many communities together. How has it been to amalgamate so many fire departments.
Yeah,
especially in a summer where we did have a major fire.
Absolutely. No, it has not been easy, but we've taken it slowly, and they've had consultation with each of the chiefs of each department. We had the Back Bay. We have a Back Bay Fire Department. We have the St. George Fire Department. We have the one in Black's Hybrid, which is connected to the Penfield one. So it was always called the Eastern Charlotte Fire Department. Those two together. Then you also have the one up in Second Falls, Bonnie River area. Their fire hall up there. So we've amalgamated the fire service. We hired a full-time fire chief to connect all that together and to be in charge of it and in charge of the budgets and everything else. There's lots of stuff going on, but we took time to amalgamate it, and that's why this bylaw is coming forward this month. It's a set of rules and regulations just set out like every municipality would have it. Just tells what we have. We have a fire chief and what his role is, what the rules and regulations of each of the firefighters, how they get on the fire department. And drivers, for example, what their responsibility is. They have to be in the area at certain times, and if they're down for the weekend, they have to stay in the area. There's all kinds of different rules and regulations, which is available right now. If anybody wants to stop and pick one up at Eastern Charlotte or go online, they can get it and go through. But it's just a set of rules and regulations in a bylaw that the fire department would follow. So that way it just covers everything. But like I said earlier, because of amalgamation, we're starting from scratch. We basically have to rebuild the whole shooting match. Whereas all this was already in place for most municipalities. Now we're gelling it all together. We have to make up new bylaws along the way. So it takes time. In the first few years, it's all rebuilding. That's all we're doing, rebuilding what we plus doing all the extra things along the way too as well.
And what are the biggest challenges of that when you are the mayor of such a big geographically amalgamated area, and also navigating these bylaws? When we think of how many bylaws there must be for a municipality, to have to redo them one at a time must be, I don't want to say frustrating, but it's definitely challenging.
Yeah, it is frustrating because it takes up a lot of our time, but saying that, we did the first good. I'll go back to the fire one. We did the first good step. We hired a full-time fire chief. So now that person is in charge of the whole thing. We don't have to kind of worry about it too much now. He's in charge of all the departments together. It's Eastern Charlotte Fire and Rescue, one fire department now. They have all these different bases, one in Back Bay and different buildings, but it's called Eastern Charlotte Fire and Rescue, one department now. So no matter what truck comes to a fire, it has Eastern Charlotte Fire and Rescue on the truck. So so that was a good thing. I got good management in place. It was Jason Gadet as well too. So he's watching which bylaws should come forward next, and he's had conversations with other municipalities as well. He talks to the manager here, Chris Spear, and stuff. They have a good working relationship. So so we're very, very lucky to have Jason working for us.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what the bylaw is regarding ATVs that you're working through?
Basically that is just a set of rules and regulations. If we're going to allow them onto the main street of St. George, from the first turn off the highway out by Birches, right down the main street of St. George. Now we did this slowly because we listened to the businesses in the area, and they were all for this. They all wrote I guess a petition or letters into council, said they're all for it. They want this done, and so the regulations are, they can't go any faster than 40 kilometers unless the speed limit is 35. Then they have to go down to 35. They have to be all properly registered. They have to follow all the rules and regulations of the road, same as everybody else. No speeding and so it's just a set. It's a bylaw, and it also draws out the exact route which they can stay on. They can't go on the side streets. They only can stay on that main street right out towards Uncle Main's up that way.
I want to pivot from talking about bylaws to the housing crisis, which is obviously a global issue, but one that Eastern Charlotte is not immune to.
Sure.
How is council working to address the need for more housing in the municipality?
Yeah, we're working closely with all the prospective people that want to build in our area, and we're offering incentives to for them to build, especially for apartment buildings, multiple housing. So we're doing that, making sure there's incentives in place. Everybody, you may get criticized for it, but the thing is, everybody's doing it. So if we don't do it, we're not in the game. A person who's building an apartment building can build it anywhere he wants, but we want to be able to have that person build one or two in Blacks Harbor. We want in St. George. We need more housing in our area. We've got companies right now. We have companies like Cooks and Connors and Maui. We have the pulp mill there. A lot of the workers are driving in from St. John, St. Stephen to go to work. And so we need more housing, and those companies need more housing for their workers. They're bringing workers. I know the Cooks are bringing workers from all over the world to work at their plants. But they need housing, and that's our job to make sure of it. So we are offering incentives for that, and we have Jason Cadet. We can tell you if anybody's interested in know what those incentives are, give Jason a call, and he'll bring it to council, and we can tell. I'm not going to get on here and tell what the incentives are, but there are incentives. But like I said, everybody's doing it. It's nothing new, and council is working on the three projects in Blacks Harbor, making sure that they move ahead. We were going to go to the Capital Borrowing Board to get extra money for those projects to help them out, but we found out the Capital Borrowing Board doesn't give out money for housing, which they should, because housing is the #1 thing in New Brunswick right now, or all costs across Canada. They should be helping and doing this, but they won't allow us to do it that way. So we are looking at a different way of doing it, and it's all doable, but we just have to go back to the drawing board and just making sure that they do get their incentives.
Eastern Charlotte is obviously, as you mentioned, home to some of New Brunswick's most prolific businesses. Can you talk a little bit about how council is working to attract more business opportunity to the community?
Yeah, we like I say, we Exit 56 is one area that we're working on. It's in our budget for next year, where we want to making sure that we try to get more housing out towards that way, or more businesses in that area. There's a great potential for a lot more business in that area. There's land available. We just got to make sure there's water and sewage out there, and that's one thing we're working on the next year or two, and making sure that happens. So we get that in the budget for to making sure that the engineering studies are all done, and that's the first step to making sure that those studies are done, so we know how much money we have to spend on it.
And on that topic of budget, can you give us an update on looking ahead? I can't believe
Sure.
it's November to the 2024 budget for Eastern Charlotte.
Yeah, we're working on the budget. We started some. The finance committee have had some conversations, and Jason, we're a little bit behind the eight ball, just a little bit, because you have to remember we had to start from scratch on everything. We had to amalgamate the whole area. We had to take Blacks Harbor and St. George and get one accounting software brought in, and that took a while to get everything transferred over, and that's just getting done now. We just had the accountants go through everything. We had an audit done, so we had to make sure all that's getting done. So now we can go into the budget. So we are a tad bit behind, but we're nothing to worry about. We can catch up on that. But things are moving ahead with that. In the next few weeks, the council will be meeting on next year's budget.
Okay. Well, I really feel like we were just talking about the Mariners Music Fest, Summer Fest, Family Fun Days, and now here we are looking ahead at Christmas.
That's right. It's coming up
one
pretty
thing you
fast.
do very well in Eastern Charlotte, and I'm looking forward to it, but I'd love to get a highlight on all the things that the communities are really known for that will be back this year, and maybe some new things on the horizon for the upcoming holidays.
Yeah, it's going to keep me busy. I tell you, we got a great person on staff, Kara Hatt, who's in charge of all the extra, the festivities and all the things going on in the area. She has a great handle on it. And like I say, I got to go to my notes because there's so many things going on. But November the 30th, right at the end of this coming month, there's a Christmas tree lighting at the Macadamic Place. There'll be a big tree put there so that everybody can see it from the highway. December the 1st in the afternoon, there's live Christmas music, and then we'll have a Santa Claus parade in St. George this year. So and there's all kinds of other things going on to do with the arena in Blacks Harbor too. I don't have all those dates written down, but there's a lot of things going on that we're with Christmas, and there's going to be I know that there'll be a mayor's levy on New Year's Day as well too. So that's all coming forward as well too.
And I should extend the invite. Now we know the date of Santa's Helpers, so it is November 26th, which is less than, oh my gosh,
Yes,
4 weeks
exactly.
away.
Oh, yeah, yes.
So I'd like to invite you to come once again
Right.
and be a part of the telethon here on
Oh, yeah.
CHCO. So that'll be 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Good.
November 26th.
I enjoyed that last year. It was nice. It was a good time, and it helps out a lot of people in the area.
Okay. Well, John, I know one thing that you do every council meeting that means a lot to people is you take a moment to highlight different milestones from people in the community. And I love to give you that opportunity whenever you're here to take a chance to use this platform to give your shout outs to people in the community.
Sure.
They're making amazing accomplishments or just reaching important milestones.
Yeah, we have one person that a lot of people from my area over there will recognize. His name is Jimmy Tucker. Used to be an MLA for our area. Used to be actually the fisheries minister for the province of New Brunswick. And he and his wife are going to be celebrating 65 years of being married on November the 15th. 65 years of their wedding anniversary coming up. So Jimmy and Anna Tucker, I want to congratulate them now on their 65th wedding anniversary coming up. We got Ormond DeVoe. Anybody in Black Harbour knows the DeVoe family. Ormond DeVoe is celebrating 80 years, and that is coming up on November the 18th. Coming up, and I want to wish Ormond a happy 80th birthday as well. And I just want a big shout out too. There's a comedian coming to Penfield on November the 20th, Tina Randall, and she is putting on a show in the Penfield Lions Hall on that night, and the tickets are $25 a piece, and she does a really good job as a top comedian in the Maritimes, and she's going to be putting on a show. I believe this is her second time coming to our area.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, I know that this is one of our last shows, I can't believe it, before the end of the year, but I would like to extend the invitation back to the couch for a year in review.
Sure.
Look back on what has been a year of growing pains for Eastern Charlotte, but also exciting new horizons. Just on your final thoughts, though, for today, when you look back at 2023, and all the change that's happened, especially in Eastern Charlotte, it was the most fascinating municipality to watch under amalgamation. What were some of the biggest accomplishments and challenges of the past year?
I think the biggest accomplishment is that the first year we have a brand new council and staffing well. We're very fortunate to have great staffing. That's probably the biggest thing. We had to start right from scratch. We had to build some new offices in St. George and work here, get everybody in the same building, and they're all everything. I can't thank the staff good enough for all the work they had to do to get settled into St. George and their new roles. But nobody was laid off. Everybody has a new role or a different job title, but everybody's working. I can't thank them enough. Our public works crews, we're very lucky to have great public works crew. We get them. It's down to one union now, and the crews are really good. I couldn't ask for better people. I know that Ricky Levitt down in Blacks Harbour with all his crew, they do a great job. I mean, there's been a lot of changes, and I can't thank the people that are the superintendents of the public works crews for going through all these changes. I know there's been a lot of changes, and I can't thank them enough. And same as the fire departments, there's been a lot of change. And I can't thank the fire service enough too for what all the change and people don't like change, and I know that, and I can see that, but I can't, like I say, I can't thank them enough for everybody working together to make sure these things are working and everybody's doing a good job. I mean, we have a new recreation group now, so they take care of the arena and they take care of the ball fields. So things are looking better and spruced up. The arena has people working year round now too. The arena's, every time you drive by, there's cars there and people in that arena. So everybody owns that arena. So I'm just so happy every time I drive by to see something happening in a building that's owned by everybody in Eastern Charlotte.
Well, you are New Brunswick's hat trick mayor. You've been the mayor of 3 municipalities. I don't think anyone else has done that in the province. Yeah. St. Andrews at one point, Blacks Harbour, now the first mayor of Eastern Charlotte. Though this is, to me, the most, like I've said, the most fascinating municipality to watch. Did you rely heavily on your past experiences to take on this role because you're mayor of such a huge changing community. How has that been?
Yeah, well, it's helped. I'll tell you one thing. I wouldn't want to have to go into this job and just learning how to be a mayor. That's one thing. And so it's like I say, it's been a challenge. It's because of the geography of the area. And I'll use this as an example. I try to go to a lot of activities outside the old areas of St. George and Black's Harbor because they're not used to having a council and a mayor. So if I show up to something, an event in Back Bay or up to Bonnie River or somewhere, it's because I want the areas to be gelled. I want them to know that they now have a council and mayor. So that's very important. I think we have to. We're all one group now. So I try to go to everything I can in the area and making sure that I'm part of it and recognize, like I say, birthdays and special events and anniversaries and making sure I'm there if they need me.
Well, you do. I follow you on Facebook, and you do a great job of making it to all the corners of your municipality. Thank you so much for being here today, John.
Thank you.
My guest today has been the Mayor of Eastern Charlotte, John Craig. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Your Town Matters.